Methods are functions within a table, or they're used to manipulate the table that they're in. And so we call those methods. Let's just say I had a table. Easiest way to use methods would be to, I don't know, have a function to put all your, have a table to put all of your functions in. So, I have this table called my functions, and, I can do, I don't know, my functions dot func1, and that'll print a function. And then all I have to do is call it like that, my functions dot func1, because we're indexing it right there as we define the function. And I'll run it, and there's our output. I can also define a function inside of the table. So I don't know, say bar equals function arg, and then we just return the argument I don't know, times 2 back. And so I would do print my functions dot bar, because we already indexed it. We just defined it right inside of the table there. And I don't know, let's just put 2 in for that. So yeah, there's all of our functions working, and the indexing goes on and on for however many functions I need to make. So let's say I wanted to treat a table like any object I wanted to. Let's say we had an enemy, and so we'll give them some properties. Let's say their current health is 100, and their max health is also 100, so they're full health right now. Now a method for this enemy, let's say we wanted to damage the enemy, so I would do function enemy dot damage, and then we'll have the amount as an argument. So if we even inputted that argument, then we are going to do the enemy health. We're going to minus the amount, so that'll decrement enemy.health by the amount. And if the enemy.health is less than 0, then we're just going to set it back to 0 to avoid going into the negative health range. And then afterwards, I just want to print the enemy.health and just see what it's at. So I can do this, and maybe let's call this function a few times. Put 5 for the first damage, and then 10 for the second damage, and maybe 2 for the third damage. Can run those, and you can see the enemy's health is going down over time each time we damage it. Well, that's cool that we have an enemy and that we can damage it, technically. So what if we had 2 enemies? Well, you can start to see an issue here. I just had to copy and paste that table and that method for a whole other enemy. Now I have to go through this. I have to rename the tables because they're totally 2 different enemies, and we want to differentiate between that. You don't have to do this. One of the things you can do, let me just go back to my original enemy code. I will go through this in some wrong ways. We'll have some errors pop up just to show you what's going on here and how this will operate. So I'm just going to define this function inside of the enemy table. There's that. The enemies are underlined in yellow. It's not liking that. Yeah, and this won't work. If I do enemy dot damage, say 5, that ain't gonna work. So how do I access a table within itself? Well, I put self as an argument, and it always has to be named self. I thought it used to highlight differently, but it doesn't anymore. So yeah, it's named self, and self is the table that you're calling the function on here down at line 16. So enemy would be self in this case. So I could do the self.health instead of the enemy. And then I have to put the actual enemy table inside of the first argument for self, and then 5 for the damage amount. And then we can run that, and then we'll have our damage function again. Our damage method, I guess you could call it. So yeah, I'll run that a few times. You can clean this up a bit more. So you can actually use a colon instead of a dot or a period. And What that does is it eliminates having to put that table in for the self argument. Now you still have to define the self argument inside of the table initially, but after that, if you just want to call this method outside of that table, you can put a colon instead of a period, and it'll automatically pass the table that you call the function on as that first argument. It's pretty good. And so yeah, I'll run that, and you can see our damage is working. And so that fixes the issue of having to copy paste some code. So let's make another enemy here. Now I don't have to change that function at all. I can damage my first enemy, then I can damage my second enemy. And they both have different health pools, so they'll both get damage. There's the 5 damage on one and the 10 damage on the other. So what if we could go further than this? What if we wanted to make objects with the same methods and the same properties, and we'd be able to change those methods and properties, per object if we wanted to. So then we wouldn't have to have this whole list of tables, and that's possible with meta tables, which I'll be covering in the next video, and an intro to meta methods. Then yeah, we'll go over some uses for them, and that'll be the end of beginner Lua tutorials. Really, after that it's going to be Roblox stuff and game development for Roblox. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.